Nesta begins to reclaim control over both her body and mind. As training intensifies, she, Gwen, and Emery explore the ways Valkyrie trained, and in the process, Nesta discovers a growing sense of inner stillness and strength. Her bond with Cassian deepens through both physical intimacy and shared purpose, though their emotional balance remains uneven. At the Forge, Nesta unknowingly imbues weapons with her power, hinting at her ability to create objects of immense magic. Meanwhile, the Inner Circle debates hiding this truth from her, because as Nesta grows stronger, so too does the question of whether she is becoming a weapon to wield or a weapon that will be wielded against them.
Hey there, we're Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy, your book besties who take the novels you love seriously.
This is Jack.
And I'm Amy.
And we bring the tools of literary analysis to the women-written novels lighting up Book Talk, from romance to romantasy. Think of it as your favorite fandom books, treated with the same respect you give a classic in literature class, but with more humor and less homework for you. And a lot more homework for us.
Each season, we deep dive into one book, breaking down themes, imagery, and character motivations. Together, we combine our 13 years of literary academic training with our fandom love to help you see your favorite books in a whole new way. We also analyze the story through 2 different literary lenses, giving you more than one way to look at the text.
This week, we're discussing A Court of Silver Flames, the most divisive book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series. In this episode, we cover chapters 38 through 42.
For a complete list of episodes and chapter breakdowns, be sure to check out our Instagram at the handle Book Talk for Book Talk.
Before we dive in, let's talk about Spilt. Spoilers, perspective, interpretation, language, themes.
Spoilers. This episode covers A Court of Silver Flames with full context from the preceding books in the ACOTAR series. That is Thorns and Roses, Mist and Fury, Wings and Ruin, Frost and Starlight. It probably will also include content from SJM's Call Her Daddy interview that took place in March of 2026. If you haven't read those books or listened to that interview, this is your only spoiler warning. Anything in SJM's other series will be saved for our Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks episode that airs tomorrow.
Perspective and interpretation. These are just our takes, our personal readings of the text. I'm not going to lie, sometimes we act like it is Bible. We don't speak for Sarah J. Maas, though, and we know you'll have your own thoughts and interpretations, too. We love hearing them, so please share.
Language. We use explicit language, so please be aware of your surroundings.
Themes. We will discuss tough topics like sex, violence, abuse, depression, self-harm, and death. We do our best to flag the heavier moments where we can, but listener discretion is advised.
As always, let's keep the conversation going. Tag us, DM us, or use the submission form on our website. And if you want exclusive content and live streams, you'll find us over at patreon.com/booktalkforbooktalk.
Can't get enough of analysis? Make sure to check out the Subtext Society Journal, where we write think pieces discussing the romance and romantasy genres as a whole, the ongoing conversations in the bookish community, and insights into the publishing world. Join us over at the subtextsocietyjournal.substack.com.
This week, we ask ourselves, just how much more harshly is Nesta judged compared to her sisters?
Themes we see in this section include breakthroughs and control. All right, so we open chapter 38. It is the day after Nesta and Cassian boned their little bones off. And we're opening at the House of Wind, and Emery and Gwen are in a gossiping mood. They're doing sit-ups and they're trying to get information out of her. They're trying to figure out, did you sleep with Cassian? What I love about this, though, is Emery and Gwen and their reactions. Quote, Emery and Gwen swapped glances, and it was Gwen who said, "Was it good?" I love that Gwen is the one to ask that question. Gwen has such an interesting journey that she has that's so off screen. Like, we do get moments of it and we do see hints of it, but we're not getting that internal turmoil. And the fact that she is able to ask about sex is a sign of growth, of expanding what she's willing to talk about. And honestly, I would like to blame or give credit to the romance novels that she's probably reading.
Yes, absolutely. Let's remember, because it's important later, she's still in her priestess's robes. Like, she's not in leathers yet. So there is still a reservation about her. So the fact that she's willing to have this conversation prior to wearing pants or anything else, I think is pretty telling. And I also give credit to the romance novels. Nesta, when she looks at Cassian across the training ring and he looks at her, quote, "The space between them went taut, the sounds of the exercising priestesses fading into nothing, the sky an azure blur above, the wind a distant caress on her cheeks." I highlight this because wind imagery has been associated with both Nesta and Cassian when they think of each other, or have been metaphors for each other. So the fact that the wind is present here as they're staring at each other feels like a metaphysical version of Cassian caressing her. And I thought that was relevant in this moment.
I also really like how for Nesta, like, this is her being on cloud nine, because the sky isn't just blue, it's azure. Everything about it is brighter. The whole world is a little bit prettier. The wind is a caress on the cheeks. She's walking high today.
Yeah. When the environment becomes richer in description, it's probably because that person's feeling really good about themselves or about the situation.
Yeah, that's the environmental lens.
Yes.
Clocking it.
Amid the gossiping, Gwen is telling her friends about Valkyrie mind-distilling exercises. She says, quote, "They trained their minds to be weapons as sharp as any blade." Now, obviously, Nesta is interested in this because of the idea of stilling their minds. Quieting the mind is super attractive to her because it's a source of contention within herself. However, I point this out because it's also the start of Nesta honing her personal power into a weapon, not the power given to her by the cauldron. For Nesta to control her mind, control her body, that is her inherent power that she was born with. We are about to embark on a training montage in which Nesta fully commits herself to becoming a weapon in all ways, not just the way of her cauldron-given magic. Now, who else is a weapon? Cassian. Nesta has viewed him as a weapon. Other people view him as a weapon. And in this moment, what struck me is that, like, oh, this is the beginning of Nesta working to become Cassian's equal. She will never be the general of the entire Night Court army, but she wants to be trained. She will want to lead her own unit. And she might never be as good as Cassian in her own mind, but she wants to reach him on some level.
Which says a lot, because she does put Cassian on a pedestal too. And Nesta wants to learn how to calm her mind, but she also doesn't want Gwen or Emery to tell Cassian. She doesn't want them to tell anyone. Quote, "Don't tell him of this," she warned them. "It's our secret." This is Nesta's mind. And wouldn't Cassian be surprised when she became the unflappable one? I love this on two parts. The first one is the fact that she doesn't want Cassian to know. And I think part of that is because she doesn't want him to know that she's trying to be better on another level, that she's actually trying. And we also know how much Nesta struggles when she feels like she fails. So she probably doesn't want Cassian to know in case she fails, in case it's evidence that she is trying to change. Even though she knows that she's changing and she knows that it's good for her, she's not going to be like, you know what, this was the right move. Thanks, Farah. And second, this also shows how she views Cassian. She thinks that he is unflappable, and that now she'll be the unflappable one. So I just find that to be such an interesting statement, because I don't think I would describe Cassian as unflappable, but that just kind of goes to show the pedestal she puts him on.
Right. And we have the benefit of getting his point of view sometimes. So we know how he freaks out internally sometimes and how soft he is and gooey. They both hide a lot of their turmoil from each other.
He is extremely flappable.
Yes, he is. Now, throughout this scene, Cassian keeps picking on Nesta and her friends for their gossiping. In some ways, it's meant to be a humorous moment. It's supposed to make the scene feel alive. In my opinion, feels like PE class when your instructor's like, shut up and do your sit-ups. But in some ways, there also could be more going on here. And so I tried to think about it and why Cassian would not want the three of them gossiping. Quote, Cassian barked, "Do you three want to gossip or train?" Now, we've seen before how Cassian treats the training ring and training in general as sacred. If you want to take a gendered lens, it's a very male-dominated activity, especially in the Illyrian army. Only males are allowed to train and fight for the most part. Gossiping, on the other hand, is very considered female-dominated energy, and in a male-dominated space, the female-dominated energy is not invited. It's one way to look at it. I don't know that that's the case, but you could argue that Cassian's like, gossip in the training ring is blasphemy. Keep it out of here. I don't want it. More importantly, though, from a structure point of view, I believe this moment is here so that we can see just how seriously Nesta and her friends are going to take training from here on out. The gossiping is a quote-unquote low point for them. I'm not saying gossiping is a low point, but it's meant to act as a marker so that when the sword training begins and they're like super into it, it's like the balance has tipped and brings out their full commitment and
their seriousness.
Right. The gossiping conveys a lack of seriousness.
Yeah.
There is also a question of, are there some power dynamics going on? Does Cassian perhaps feel insecure? Is he wondering, perhaps, if Nesta's talking shit? Because he left, she said it was just sex. What we're going to see throughout this episode, and what I'm going to argue, is that Nesta has full control of the physical relationship in the bedroom between Nesta and Cassian.
Yep.
And she's done so by labeling their interactions as just sex, but also she takes control in the bedroom, literally. Therefore, in the training ring, Cassian controls her actions, her body, because that's where he feels safest and like he's allowed to control. There's a funny little moment when Nesta thinks back on what's happened since she had sex with Cassian the evening before up until now. And here, Nesta thinks about Rhys's behavior. Later, Cassian will think about Rhys's behavior, but it's funny that they both think about it in this stretch of chapters.
Yeah.
We learned that Nesta, quote, returned to the house this morning, winnowed in by a too neutral Rhys. Cassian had been nowhere in sight. Nesta recognizes that normally Rhys would have an opinion, kind of like how he did with Gwyn when Nesta first started befriending Gwyn and Gwyn was coming to training. Rhys was like, you treat her with the utmost respect, blah, blah, blah. So the fact that Rhys isn't like, don't you dare fuck my best friend, is a little weird for Nesta. Why doesn't he have a comment about her engaging sexually with Cassian, since Cassian is his best friend like a brother? In my opinion, Rhys's silence is its own weapon. He knows when to wield his power, his voice, and he knows when to wield his silence, because if we all remember / agree, it's been his plan since the beginning to make sure Cassian and Nesta end up together because he wants Cassian to be happy.
In this book, in one of the secret chapters, Rhys is okay cock blocking. He tells Azriel to not pursue anything with Elaine.
Yeah.
Rhys is fine shutting that shit down. This is basically a blessing.
Yeah, it really is. The lack of interference and letting things play out the way it's going to play out is him going like, okay, you do your thing. Just don't fuck with me and Feyre. You guys are fine.
Yeah. Nesta thinks about when she got home. So she gets home after Rhys drops her off, and she gets home and she needs to change. Quote, the pair she donned were bigger, not baggy, but just slightly larger. She hadn't noticed how tight her usual set was until she slid into the far more comfortable ones. Hadn't noticed how much muscle she packed onto her thighs and arms this month until she realized her movements had been restricted by the old pair. It's beautiful on so many levels. One, I love that we're celebrating that she's gained mass. Like she's gained probably weight too, because muscle weighs more than fat. And the fact that we're celebrating that she is getting into larger clothing, that it's done in a positive way. But also the fact that her old clothing, her old self was restricting. That clothing was too tight and she couldn't actually move. The old trauma, the old choices, that was holding her in place. Now she can move more freely.
Yeah, it's like a spider or a snake molting or shedding its exterior so that it can be larger. It's kind of the same thing that's happening with Nesta.
Just not as gross.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Before we get Out of Nesta's point of view, though, we are still with Nesta and her friends, and we have this really funny moment. So Nesta's like, I want to use the sword. And Cassian's being all sassy, quote, you think you're ready to handle a sword? Emery let out a fizzing noise, but kept working. Nesta refused to smile, to blush, and said without breaking Cassian's stare, only you can tell me that. His nostrils flared. Get up. It's so freaking funny because Emery and Gwen are just sitting there giggling. They're both just like trying so hard not to say anything.
Yeah.
And you can tell they want to laugh their ass off. While it is very funny and haha, I found this to be one of the more human moments than a lot of times we see in other SJM books. I feel like when you have something like Crescent City, every page and sentence matters in Crescent City, that you don't have time to have these like haha casual funny moments.
Yeah.
Because this book can do that and get away with it. And not just Crescent City, like a lot of SJM books, like any book should, every single second matters. When you write a book, you shouldn't be able to take away a scene without it doing something. But because this book isn't so much about plot, it's about the character development is the plot, it allows you to have these more humanizing, grounding moments, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And I think they're also a marker of growth. Like the fact that Nesta can make innuendo jokes and is trying to hold back from laughing or smiling. It says, oh, she's not in as dark of a place as she once was. Same with Emery, same with Gwen. We, at this point, switch to Cassian's point of view in the training ring. So this is right after the innuendo joke. And from his point of view, quote, watching Nesta challenge him, the innuendo like a sizzling flame, he couldn't for the life of him remember why. AKA why he didn't go back to have more sex with her or why he left the bedroom. Cassian, not only did he leave the bedroom after they had sex without like even a cuddle, he wasn't even present in the House of Wind when Nesta came home that morning. And all of it is because it is his turn to restrain himself. Remember, in the sex scene, we talk about Nesta and Cassian unraveling, being wild, being unrestrained. And so we are seeing Nesta loosen up. She's laughing, she's making jokes. Cassian, on the other hand, is not ready to be completely unrestrained, because to be unrestrained is to be vulnerable and to want too much. And in the end, if he wants too much, he pushes Nesta away and stalls her growth, which is so interesting. So we've gone from restrained Nesta, flipping a coin over to restrained Cassian. And they're going to continue to struggle with this. They haven't found the right balance, but it's just a reminder that they are two sides of the same coin. And so while one is willing to be vulnerable, the other is not, and vice versa.
Yeah. Nesta goes up to Cassian and she is ready to tackle the actual sword, not the metaphorical sword that is his penis. Even so, it is still a training sword. And she's all sweaty as she strolls up to him. And this is in Cassian's perspective. Quote, a bead of perspiration slid down her temple. He had to clench his fist to keep from leaning in to lick it away. Very primal. It's very animal. And we often see someone kiss away tears. We even had Rhys lick Farrah's tears back in ACOTAR. But to want to lick the sweat, I feel like it's about consuming her strength. It's consuming her effort. It's consuming all of the growth that he has seen from her. And not in a way that he's consuming it where he's like, haha, it's mine. Like, I own your strength. It's more of like
Celebrating.
Yeah. You know, it's like sharing a bottle of wine, but of your sweat.
Does not sound like something you would enjoy.
I would hate it.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah. I can feel you cringing.
It's one of those moments where I'm like, Jack, you don't have to share every single thought on the podcast.
You don't.
The inside thought that I said I wasn't going to say, I told Amy, and Amy?
Nope. No, thank you.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Yep.
Innuendos continue to be thrown around the training ring, and the women are still being irreverent. So what does Cassian do? He takes control because this is his space. Quote, Nesta snickered and he stiffened. He tossed over his shoulder, if you're too childish to talk of blades without giggling, then you're not ready for swordplay. So it feels like Cassian's admonishing Nesta and her friends for their lack of reverence for the art of battle. And I don't know if that's true. Ultimately, though, Cassian is in control here. It's one of the few places he gets to be in control. He has to listen to Reese boss him around. He has to listen to Feyre boss him around. Later, Amren's going to boss him around. Like, this is the one place that's his. And so he maintains control. And another interesting way to look at this is if the conversation in the training ring tips too far towards sex, Cassian as the man around a bunch of traumatized women can't say shit. He loses control of the situation. The women dictate what is and isn't allowed at that point. And quite frankly, this is his safe place. Like, let's keep the sex out of the mouths, guys.
No, I'm not agreeing to that. No. Stand up for my right.
I wasn't saying oral sex. I was saying, anyway, let's move on.
Any sex, I'm allowed to keep where I want. Talking about it, enjoying whatever I want. You think we're going to go to the gym tomorrow and I am not going to be talking about some kind of sex now?
No, I know you are. Yeah. Just not in Cassian's training ring.
When I would talk about it the most.
Nesta, though, as we've pointed out, is less restrained. And now she's even breaking her facade. Like, she is trying so hard to not laugh, so much so that it's heartwarming for Cassian. Quote, Emery began coughing and Nesta's mouth twitched, but she held it, fought it. Even Cassian had to tamp down a laugh before he cleared his throat. He's tempted to relinquish control. And it's because Nesta's becoming Nesta again. In fact, she's becoming a better version of Nesta, and he loves that. So he does want to relinquish control, but Nesta's only gotten this far because he's controlled the training ring.
Yeah. Time for a bargain with our sponsors.
It's that time of year where I realize I need to stop accumulating things and get rid of stuff.
Girl, it is spring. Let Monarch do your financial spring cleaning for you. One dashboard gets your entire financial life organized. No more clutter, no more mess, no more scattered logins. Just accounts, investments, property, and more all in one place.
Get your first year of Monarch for half off, just $50 with promo code BOOKTALK. BOOKTALK.
Monarch has been an absolute lifesaver for me. Its AI insights spots things that I have not caught before, like all of the various Patreons I keep signing up for. I just love fan art. But Monarch is helping me flag it because it sends me AI weekly recaps and its personalized weekly summary that flags my spending spikes, big net worth shifts, and upcoming expenses. So nothing's sneaking up on me, not even my random Patreon subscriptions.
What I found most helpful with Monarch during our weekend at BookCon was the bill split feature. There was so many times I was just putting meals on my card that I was like, Jack, we'll figure it out later. All I have to do is scan a receipt and Monarch splits up all the items and prices them. And then I can just tell Jack, here you go, here's a QR code, claim your items and pay me back.
And now you guys can try Monarch. Use code BOOKTALK at monarch.com to get your first year half off at just $50.
That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code BOOKTALK. BOOKTALK. We now switch to Nesta's point of view, and there's a shift that takes place when she begins practicing with a sword. There's this key in a lock imagery of things unlocking, unraveling, just continuing the metaphor of being unrestrained. And it's unlocking the spark of who she used to be or what her truest self is, however you want to look at it. And we know that's true because of the language associated with music that is used.
I want to keep looking into the quote that you're referencing, so I'm going to read it. Quote, "It was like a key sliding into a lock at last. It was a wooden sword, and yet it wasn't. It was a part of practice, and yet it wasn't." What is so different about this moment versus other moments? This moment of something clicking into place for her, or this moment of Nesta just like walking in and she is in the zone. Like what Amy was saying, that we've talked about it where her power is not her power, it's the cauldron. But this right here, this is her developing her own skill. The cauldron is not the one who's learning how to block, defend, stab. That is Nesta. This is her power. So of course she's going to be so much more honed in on it because finally this is her strength.
Yeah, great point. And we know it's tied to strength. It's tied to her because music is being used as part of the imagery of her training process. Quote, her arm was a distant ache, secondary to that building song in her blood. So the mask was previously a song in her blood, but that was the trove. That was the cauldron. Now she feels the song in her blood as she's going through movement, holding a sword. That's her inner power. That is not borrowed.
When Nesta is in the zone, she just lets her mind go. Quote, she could see the king of Hybern and the cauldron and the ravens, see the Kelpie and Thomas and all those people who had sneered at the Archeron's poverty and desperation, the friends who had walked away with smiles on their faces. Never again would she be weak. Never again would she be at someone's mercy. Never again would she fail. Never again, never again, never again. It's just such a perfect summary of everything she struggles with.
Mm-hmm.
This is the fact that you have the king of Hybern, you have the ravens, the cauldron, the Kelpie, the Thomas, right? People who laughed at their poverty and walked away. I do want to note that the fact of like sneered at the Archeron's poverty and desperation and the friends who walked away with a smile on their face, you can also interpret that as the way that the inner circle and Farah and Elaine all walked away from the war with a smile on their face. And why that hurts so much more too.
Yeah. Yep. Because I always tied it back to the people who sneered, but this is different.
The first time I read it, I was like, oh, you're talking about the war. And then the second time I'm like, oh, you're talking about the people who sneered. But then I was like, but you could so apply it. And maybe that's also another layer of why she's reacting so much. Like we all have our triggers, and not that this isn't a valid reason for her to be acting out, right? Like everyone's walking away from the war without any issues. And I have issues,
right.
But it's this fact that she is left struggling post-war and poverty. And while everyone else gets to move on with their life, it just reminds me of help. I'm still at the restaurant, sitting at the corner I haunt, cross-legged in a dim light. They say, what a sad sight. The amount of times that Nesta associates herself with failure is truly not discussed enough. And that's partly our fault. But I think we are discussing it. We're doing a good job with it. But I mean, in the community altogether, that is this fandom. Nesta really views herself as a failure. In order to view yourself as a failure, you have to assume responsibility and ownership. That's probably why Nesta doesn't even try to have ownership or responsibility, because she would inevitably fail. And in her mind, she fails everything.
Yeah, it's a great point. To continue this idea of the song in Nesta's blood, later on, towards the end of training, quote, Cassian's voice stopped, and then the world paused, and all that existed was him, his fierce smile, as if he knew that song roared in her blood, as if he alone understood that the blade was an instrument to channel this raging fire in her. I love this moment because I feel like for the first time, they're physically and mentally playing on the same field. Like they're starting to level out, right? This is something where they understand each other perfectly. They understand anger and channeling it through training.
Yep, absolutely. I also like that it's described as a raging fire, not a silver flame, because she's been described as having silver flames, obviously, hence the book. But there is a distinction. Nesta has a fire within her. The cauldron is what makes it silver and cold, right? And we're going to have a training moment later where the cold silver part comes out. But in this moment, it is still that hot, fiery, raging part of Nesta.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a sip. And in my case, take a bite of quinoa.
We now move into chapter 39, and we begin to see Nesta understand the extent of her unraveling. She feels as if, quote, she had been freed from a cage she hadn't realized she'd been held in. Which is fascinating because I think in some ways, Nesta would never allow someone to hold her in a cage. And the reason why she's now realizing she was in a cage, it's because it was a cage of her own creation. And quite frankly, it's not a coincidence that this unlocking, not only in the training sequence, but here, like, yes, the training sequence mattered, but it's all after sex with Cassian.
Yeah.
Like, that was important for her to be able to progress to this stage.
Unlocked something else in her, that's for sure.
That's right.
I mean, the funny thing is, it's like that could be very much like it's true, but because I said it in that tone, it applies dirty.
Yeah.
I also want to say, though, that I find it poignant / hilarious that she feels like she is freed from a cage while walking down the stairs that is part of her cage. She is caged in this home. The stairs are what keep her caged.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, while she is letting out some of this frustration, while she's getting it all out, she feels like she's finally free from the cage while in the cage. Which makes us realize, and hopefully her, which she's not there yet, that this is not a cage. This was good for her.
Right. The only thing that was caging her was truly herself in the end.
Yep.
And in some ways, Nesta does understand that because she had a role in her own fear and withdrawal, right? In becoming a shell of herself. Quote, she had become so afraid, so meek and trembling. It was unacceptable. Unacceptable that she had let herself balk and cower and curl inward. Now, okay, trauma, give yourself some grace. But the self-realization is an important part in her healing journey and her path toward inner strength. But I also have to recognize not only is she here now because she had sex with Cassian, because she fought with a sword, it's also because the Bog of Orid and the repetition of the trauma cycle repeating itself and her being like, not again, I'm not willing to do this again. That's when she's like, okay, I'm ready to move in a different direction now.
And when we go into Cassian's point of view, we can see that that change isn't just in Nesta, but it's with all of the priestesses. Quote, Cassian half expected the priestess to not show up for practice, but they were already waiting in the cold and wet when he entered the training ring. None bothered to use magic to keep dry, as if they wanted the grit, the extra effort. So I was in a cafe writing this and I was trying not to cry. It's been a week. Cried at the gym this morning. So we're emotional. Think I'm okay now. I reserve the right to cry. But I would also like to note that the lack of comfort, the grit, the cold, that is what's helping them get through this. It's the removal of yourself in this moment. It's them being able to push themselves to prove to themselves that they are capable of handling this discomfort, this pain, that they are in fact stronger than this, which obviously they were. They are survivors of horrible things. When we see this change in them, it starts to make sense because Nesta's already thinking about leading her own troop of women, and she is setting that example. Every single time Nesta does something, it has a trickle effect in inspiring everyone else.
Yeah. And it's inspiring Cassian because in a lot of ways, he's seeing the woman he first met that he, for lack of a better word, fell in love with at first sight, coming back. And he doesn't think it exactly this moment, but he does later. As he watches her train, quote, Cassian's blood heated, unable to keep his desire contained at the sight of that fierceness in her face. The eagerness to learn more pushed harder. Now, it is partially Nesta coming back to herself, but it's also like this might be their first genuine shared interest. Like she is learning something that is inherent to who he is, and I don't blame him. It's hot to be like, yeah, you like what I like. Yeah.
Yep.
On the other hand, you know, as I mentioned before, he's, again, the one practicing restraint in a way that Nesta is not. He desires her so much that he has to keep himself locked away. Quote, he hadn't sought her out last night, deciding to sleep at the river house rather than risk temptation. The sex had been that good, and he knew if he didn't put some semblance of a barrier, it'd consume him entirely. She'd consume him entirely. So this is, again, back to this idea of consumption, Cassian wanting to lick the sweat off of her. Nesta, without her knowing, is not only in control of Cassian when sex is on the table, it's in everything they're doing now. And the power dynamics are so intense. He is so overcome by it that he risks being consumed by her. And I think he'd love it. He's just worried about getting his heart broken. He doesn't know how to protect himself from her except with distance. And until she can handle his vulnerable heart carefully, he's not going to trust her with it. I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either.
The day after the first sword lesson, or second sword lesson, Gwyn shows up in Illyrian leathers, which is a huge moment for Gwyn that Cassian just kind of skates by. Quote, Cassian surveyed the rest of the lineup and, well, that was new. Gwyn was in Illyrian leathers, Nesta's old ones, from the scent of them. So why now? we talk about it, you know, reading romances, talking about sex, now wearing leathers. In some ways, like the sword unlocked something for Nesta, the sword has unlocked power for Gwyn. Power she didn't know she could have. And I do feel like there is significance in Gwyn wearing Nesta's leathers symbolically. She is following in Nesta's footsteps. She's just one step behind Nesta in healing in some ways. And she's borrowing the steely armor facade that Nesta has in a way by wearing those leathers. She's borrowing Nesta's bravery, courage, inner strength.
Yeah. I find it so telling that Gwyn picked up a sword before she was willing to change into pants. That should show you the relationship she has with her own body, not for any self-image issues, but because of the sexual abuse and trauma she went through. And her putting on these clothes, like Amy said, very much like symbolic of like following in Nesta's path with her wearing her own clothes. But it also just truly unlocks a freedom within Gwyn. And we know that this type of clothing is tight. We know it's going to show off her body. As much as like she's trying not to, like it's going to be more, not revealing, but in a way revealing than robes are. And it's just so powerful. This is another moment where I started tearing up at the cafe. And what I love about it, or not love, I mean, I do, I love it all. But what makes it extra hard is that Gwyn is ready. She is in these leathers. She's ready to tackle the day. But then the next day, Azrael is there to teach the priestesses. Quote, Gwyn had been distracted, one eye on the other side of the ring. Cassian could only assume she was watching his brother, who had given Gwyn a small smile of greeting upon arrival. Gwyn hadn't returned it. Cassian cursed himself for a fool. He should have asked her if she'd be comfortable with Azrael here. Perhaps he should have asked all the priestesses about including another male, but especially Gwyn, whom Azrael had found that day in Sangraba. I mean, first off, yes, like Cassian, you absolutely should have asked these traumatized women if you're okay bringing in another man. Whatever. Yes, that's the other thing. But my other note, I'm too emotional for this bullshit. But I do want to say that I like that Gwyn claimed her power with the leathers before this moment with Azrael, before having to see and face some of her old trauma. Even though he was the one who saved her, he is part of her old trauma.
Yeah, her old trauma is attached to him. Later that evening, while in the library under the House of Wind, Nesta and Gwyn try out the Valkyrie mind-stilling exercises together. And Jack has something to say about that.
I do, apparently. I think it's funny because while Nesta's mind runs wild, she also finds clarity. So Nesta's struggling to get her mind to calm down, but her mind is actually running in a way that's helping her calm down. Quote, Gwyn was probably good at this. Gwyn was good at everything, actually. It didn't irk her, though. For whatever reason, Nesta wanted to crow about her friend to anyone who'd listen. Her friend. That's what Gwyn was. It had been, and then she cuts off. And it's like, first off, girl, I get it. I know what it's like to, I want to hype up your friend so much so. You know, it's funny. You make fun of me for that. But really, the true question is, why don't you do that to me?
I find it very uncomfortable when you do it. And that's why I don't do it to you.
Yeah, but you're not in the room when I do it.
I do talk about you. You make it sound like I pretend you don't exist. I talk about you all the time.
It's funny. Amy talks about me all the time to the point that when she started seeing Emma, one of her coworkers thought that she was cheating on me.
Yes. Yes.
I tease you. I tease you. But yeah, I relate to having a friend where you're just like proud of them and stuff. You're like, yeah, look at her go. Again, coming back to the fact that Nesta is able to get the strength to accept that she is friends with Gwyn, and by finding that peace with like, oh my God, Gwyn is my friend, that then gives her the room and the space and the strength to let the thoughts about Elaine and Farah go. And she gets some intense Elaine and Farah thoughts. We see some of those bad thoughts come in. Quote, had Elaine been right? Farah had admitted she was guilty of it too, but Farah hadn't known Elaine as Nesta did. Or it hadn't been that way before. But Elaine had chosen Farah before Amryn had chosen Farah before. And then she goes, no, we're not thinking about it. We're going to let it go. I do this all the time. I do, especially after 9 p.m. is my rule. We are not allowed to have thoughts. We look at these thoughts, we examine it, we let it go. And Nesta really struggles with the idea of being chosen and not being chosen. And in many ways, Nesta was not chosen. She was chosen by her mother, yes, but she was not chosen by her father to help save her. And also, being chosen is a bad thing too, because she was chosen by her mother. And Nesta learns to let these thoughts go.
Which is great. Like, that's a really hard thing to do the first time you try meditating. I don't blame her for all her racing thoughts. But I think what helps her find that stillness is because she's probably allowing herself to have the thoughts she's never allowed herself to have before. And so by letting them run wild and letting them go, she's releasing energy she's just been holding on to for a long time.
Yeah.
So that when she finds stillness, quote, her mind lingered, didn't wander. It just sat there, contented, resting, like a cat curled at her feet. I love this little breadcrumb. Her mind is like a cat, just like the house's energy has been described like a cat.
Yep.
Because she is the house. The house is her subconscious.
Meow, meow, motherfucker. The last line of this chapter is also what gets me. Quote, and for the first time in her life, she felt utterly settled into her own skin. I love the moments when these happen, these moments of her own clarity, of her own strength and healing. It's not after she gets dicked down hard and good. It doesn't have to do with anyone else. Yes, Gwen is kind of like coaching her through it, but it's not because of Gwen. It's not for other people.
Right.
Nesta is doing the work. Nesta is the one who is sitting here practicing with Gwen. Nesta is the one who is trying to get more women to come out and train. And even though she's started it, she was forced to train, but like Nesta is the one who's training. So I love these little healing moments. That's truly her.
Yeah, I agree. Take a sip.
Take a sip. Yeah. So we start chapter 40 and Cassian and Nesta go on their field trip to go to the blacksmith so that Nesta can learn how swords are made. And Cassian is trying to butter up the blacksmith to agree to let her watch how the process is done. And he just kind of compliments him, and Cassian thinks like, yes, I've learned this from Reese. But immediately after that, Nesta kind of does her own buttering up. She says, quote, whatever you can show me and whatever free time you have would be much appreciated. Cassian tried not to show his surprise at her polite words, the hint of deference. It comes after Cassian flatters this blacksmith. Cassian showed Nesta what to do in order to be civil, to try to get what you want. I mean, it's not necessarily like, yes, you're trying to get what you want, but it's just like the easy social contracts. If you're trying to ask someone for something, you don't go and be a dick about it, right? You have to be nice, you butter them up. And Nesta is trying to learn from him. Just like she thought that he was unflappable, like this is another moment where she's trying to emulate him.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Thank you.
So during this scene, as Nesta is engaging with the blacksmith, Cassian becomes increasingly aware of Nesta's dislike for fire. He observes multiple times that she flinches. Quote, one of the few times she'd spoken had been to request to move away from the roaring fires of the forge room to the quieter, cooler dark of the workshop proper. Now, I understand for plot reasons why he doesn't ask. It's part of her big emotional scene later on. He thinks about it like 2 or 3 separate times in the scene, and it's easy to get annoyed with him for not asking. Like, dude, just ask. So I had to really stop and think, like, why is Cassian not asking this question? And I think even though it seems like a simple question, it is still an intimate one. And his unwillingness to ask it mirrors his reluctance to actively seek out Nesta for physical intimacy. Because no matter what, physical intimacy or questions like this, it all comes back to emotional intimacy. And he's not ready to relinquish his control. And so, therefore, she controls when the emotional intimacy takes place. Now, we also see from Cassian's perspective that he is seeing in this scene a stronger Nesta rising from the ashes of her old self. And I like the imagery of it being in a blacksmith's forge because she is the iron being molded into a weapon. Quote, pride wended through his chest. Here she was, that female who'd been forged during the war with Hybern, but different. More focused, stronger.
This is beautiful metaphor. SJM, She is forging herself back together.
It's not Cassian wielding that blade.
No, it's all Nesta. I mean, this is one of those moments where it's just like, it's overt, this type of metaphor, and it's so good.
Yeah, it's so good. Like during practice when using the sword was like a song in her blood, even Cassian is starting to see the connection of Nesta's growing physical strength and mental clarity as connected to music. Because at Nesta's core, she is inherently tied to music, to dance. Quote, "It was a dance, each of her movements timed to the ringing echo of the hammer on the blade. She pounded the sword to a music no one but she could hear."
I mean, could this weapon, her personal trove, have been made if Cassian wasn't there? Yes, he's not the one who's like forging it and everything. Like, that's all Nesta, but his presence gives her strength. We've seen that before. And he gives her the space and the room to feel safe.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good point.
Still all Nesta, though. Like, you know, let's not give the men too much credit.
Stay with us. We're not done yelling yet.
This show is sponsored by Liquid IV.
When I think of spring break, I think of Jack and I senior year Las Vegas. You know what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but what doesn't stay in Vegas is the hydration our body needs no matter what.
If there's anything that I needed from that trip, it's Liquid IV. And now that I'm older, I really need Liquid IV after going out. I drink Liquid IV's sugar-free hydration multiplier all the time. I'm not even exaggerating.
Liquid IV's hydration multiplier hydrates me better than water alone.
If you're going to Coachella or any music festival, this is the perfect thing to put in your purse because only one stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates faster than water alone. It's powered by LIV Hydroscience and an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration.
Compared to water, Liquid IV delivers longer lasting hydration and retains hydration for up to 4 hours. It's backed by a scientific advisory board with world-renowned researchers to conduct clinical research trials.
And for our vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free girlies, this is perfect for you.
It's always non-GMO and has delicious sugar-free options like mandarin orange, rainbow sherbet, my favorite, mango pineapple, and more.
Soak up unforgettable memories with on-the-go hydration from Liquid IV. Tear pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first purchase with code BOOKTALK at checkout.
That's 20% off your first purchase with code BOOKTALK, BOOKTALK, at liquidiv.com.
Struggling to find the right metabolic wellness support, even when you're doing everything right, has been one of the most frustrating things for me in my health journey.
I've tried other metabolic wellness support providers, and I often feel rejected rather than supported by the process.
That's because Brello is focused on long-term health, longevity, and performance, not quick fixes.
Brello is designed for people who want a more sustainable approach to their metabolic wellness support. Their support helps you focus on habits, education, and structure alongside provider oversight.
Getting my GLP-1 through Brello has been so easy. They make it so effortless, and they provide all the support I need through their app.
Their app is one of a kind in my book because it allows you to track progress, manage reminders, and stay on top of renewals. And if you're like me, managing the renewals is the hardest part.
Everything is managed online, making it easier to stay consistent over time, and medications are delivered to your door. They're so transparent with their pricing, with one flat monthly cost. Go to BrelloHealth.com to see if you qualify and explore their GLP-1 plans, starting at $133 per month for your first 3 months, plus access to their app, community, and wellness classes. That's BRELLO health.com.
Any information provided is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical consultation, diagnosis, or treatment. All patients must consult with a healthcare provider prior to the prescription or dispensing of any medication, which will be done only pursuant to a valid prescription. Compounded drug products are not FDA approved, and the FDA does not evaluate their safety, effectiveness, or quality. Patients are encouraged to discuss the risks, benefits, and appropriateness of any medications, including compounded products, with their healthcare provider before use. The song and music metaphor continues when Nesta is at practice the next day. Quote, "And when she pulled her arm back, the pain became a song. She threw another punch, eliciting a satisfying thunk from the wood." This is when she's beating up the tree trunk wrapped in blankets.
Boy, did I need that one today.
Yeah, you did.
I was thinking about it.
I was almost the tree trunk.
It is. Tomorrow you're going to be the tree trunk. I'm bringing the things I need for you to be my tree trunk.
This is a sign that Nesta's beginning to heal. But, of course, with every step forward, there are a couple steps back. Or there's a couple steps forward, one step back. I don't know. While thinking about Elaine and Feyre, quote, "She punched that thought out of herself too. That pathetic, selfish thought, just as all of her was pathetic and selfish and hateful." So Nesta is on her way toward healing, but this is a good reminder that the self-hatred is still there because she's accepted she doesn't want to be cowardly, but that doesn't mean she's accepted herself. When Lucian stops by the House of Wind, he's there in theory to observe Nesta while he waits for Feyre and Rhys. Quote, "She's not a carnival attraction," Cassian said through his teeth. "It's not for entertainment." Lucian's red hair gleamed in the dimness of the rainy day. "I think Feyre wanted a progress assessment from someone who hasn't seen her in a while." I think this is a little cute because, quite frankly, Cassian cannot be objective. Anything Nesta does, he's like, "She's trying. Just leave her alone." His pride, his desire, they put blinders on. Again, not that she's not making progress, but I think if everyone thinks Cassian is Nesta's mate, which I'm sure they've already figured out, they're not going to trust his word.
And we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. This actually really bugged me with it because I feel like, shouldn't we see Feyre? This is me talking to her. Can't we see the context clues? She was able to start this priestess fight club, right? And made them feel comfortable. That's huge. That is her own undertaking that she did.
Yeah.
Go talk to Clotho. Maybe she has. Maybe all of this has been discussed. And maybe this is just Feyre trying to get Lucian out of the house.
Yeah, it could be. It could be a cover.
Yeah, oh shit, Elaine's home. Let's get him somewhere else. Go be useful here.
Yeah, it is a little odd.
Yeah. It is strange because he brings nothing to the scene other than an observer who is like, "Oh my god, she's so scary," right? Other than that, but you didn't need that to be Lucian. The whole thing feels weird to me.
Yeah, but it couldn't be Rhys, Feyre, Elaine, or Amryn.
Yeah,
or more.
Fair. Or Azriel. Yeah.
Azriel's there every day anyway.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else would have set Nesta off.
All right, fair enough.
I do find it interesting that in response to Cassian's defense of Nesta, Lucian sees through Cassian's act and says, quote, "You can drop the aggressive brute act." Cassian gave Lucian a grin that didn't meet his eyes. Who says it's an act? To his own detriment, Cassian perpetuates the brute narrative.
Yeah.
Even though we know that it hurts him. And it is interesting that Lucian, who doesn't spend a lot of time with Cassian, who doesn't like Cassian doesn't like him, even he knows it's an act.
Yeah.
But everybody else, encourages it or subscribes to it. Yeah.
Let me be caveman.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just interesting.
It is interesting. He is the first one to be like, "Hey, you can drop this.
Yeah.
You don't need to do this," versus everyone else just kind of lets him be the stereotype, which is interesting. Yeah, good point. Good point, Amy. Good point. Have you guys met my friend Amy? She's really good. It does make her uncomfortable. It's so unfortunate. It's just when you birth someone, and you raise them. You're just so proud. I would like to note, though, that Lucian says, while looking at Nesta, quote, "I wonder if there are some things that should not be awoken," he murmured. Cassian cut in the glare. "Mind your own business, Fireling." It just feels a little prophetic, a little bit like a seer, a little prophecy here, a certain mate, Elaine.
I recently just reread The Secret Chapter, and I'm I forgot just how raunchy Azriel's imaginings are, and I'm we haven't seen that before. I like it. Are we sure they're not going to end up together? Because I'm into it.
If I remember correctly, and you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, Azriel's feelings for Elaine is more about Azriel than it is about Elaine. So the way that she makes him feel, the way that he not just like feel as like, I feel stronger. Like he feels more dirty when he's near her and more unworthy when he's near her. And we know he loves a good old self-punishment. So versus any of her merits.
I'm very conflicted about all of it.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm saying
He's
is that
horny.
he's horny, and we've never seen a character's point of view where they're explicitly horny for a character that they don't end up with.
As far as we know. Yeah.
As far as we know.
Yeah.
Just, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree. Amy's saying that, and I'm saying controversial.
All right, moving on, because I could think about Azrael pumping his cock all day.
Oh, Amy! Oh my God! On our podcast? To the children listening? How could you? What makes you think this is the kind of environment? She is like cackling, dying over there.
Take your sip.
We're entering chapter 41 and you guys missed it. I was eating some more of my dinner, lunch. Oh God, I have more to eat after this. And then apparently there was another secret chapter between Rhys and Farah, and Amy was reading it for me, and I'd be shook.
Yeah, I was so hyper fixated on the Azrael secret chapter. I didn't know there was another one.
Yeah, I know. There's no sex to it. I mean, but it is Rhys saying that Elaine's boring. So suddenly it's my favorite chapter. Let's get into our other favorite chapter.
Chapter 41. Helion comes to the Night Court, specifically the Court of Nightmares, riding a Pegasus, and everyone is in awe, including Cassian. Quote, "That magnificent stallion, proud and haughty and only half tamed, snatched the breath from his chest." I was reading this and I was like, this is a metaphor for everything Cassian loves about Nesta.
I was like, for his penis.
No.
Stallion, proud.
And haughty and only half tamed.
Yeah, but it is Nesta.
It's Nesta.
Once again, we see Rhys and Farah being horny and flirty with one another. And, it's always fun to see, but it's hard for Cassian to see. Quote, "He couldn't help the pain in his chest at the casual intimacy, the blatant affection and love, a far cry from just sex." For Cassian, sex is intimacy. It is very heavily linked. And yes, like Rhys and Farah are mates. They're still getting hot and heavy and stuff, but sex is intimacy. That's Cassian. When Helion sees Nesta, so Helion arrives and then they're like, oh, let's go see Nesta. And then he sees her and he's like, oh my God, you're so hot. And he tries to flirt with her, but she shuts him down. Quote, "Nesta surveyed Helion for long enough that he shifted on his feet. A high lord shifted on his feet under her gaze. She said at last, 'I appreciate the compliment.' And that was that." Oh my God, the power of a look from a woman. And that is all you need. It's a type of feminine power that Rhys is about to use. Like that power was just displayed. There's a new documentary called The Manosphere or Into the Manosphere. We should watch it. It's horrible. And it's basically the red pill pipeline of all of these like alpha male bros. And one of these guys was like, yeah, I'm going to have 5 wives and my girl's just going to deal with it. And I've only seen clips. I'm going to watch the whole thing. But in this clip, he's like, my girl is just going to deal with it because I'm the man and I'm allowed to do whatever I want. And this is her role. And then they bring her in and she was like, yeah, I don't like that. We'll see how that plays out. And then he's just all quiet. Like he's suddenly like his big voice goes away. They are broken up now. Thank goodness.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I do have to say, though, that there's a moment where Helion explains that he cannot stand the touch of the mask. And I was like, what are we doing with this? Quote, "Perhaps an ancestor of mine once used it, and the warning of its cost is imprinted upon my blood." I was like, wow, that's a really out of pocket thing to say and to bring in, considering that like no one asked. Someone did say, why are you so sensitive to it? But like you also didn't need to make Helion so sensitive to it. Like this was a very distinct choice. Maybe I should have left it in the Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks section, but you got it here.
Here we are. Now, I think that there is a little interesting parallel between Cassian and Nesta in this scene. Nesta makes it clear that she doesn't want to learn how to unlock the room once Helion has warded it, because she doesn't want to know how to unlock it to access the mask. However, she makes up a lie that, what if she's captured and she shouldn't have the information? Cassian thinks, quote, "It was wise, even if it made him sick to consider, but he could have sworn it was a lie, could have sworn that Nesta didn't want to have access to the information for herself, as if she might be tempted by the mask. Tempted. Cassian used the word tempted in association with himself toward Nesta. And it stuck out enough to me that I had to be like, why is this a parallel? And the only conclusion I could draw is that being tempted reveals an unwanted vulnerability. Nesta, in some ways, is an unwanted vulnerability for Cassian, the way that the mask is a vulnerability for Nesta. However, the only people who think Nesta's bad for Cassian is probably everybody else. Mostly. Everyone's fine with it if Nesta can get her shit together.
Fuck Amryn.
Don't get me started.
Oh, but we're going to get you started. I think Moore is the only one who like genuinely thinks that they're a bad match. I do feel like it's wise either way that she's not given. And to me, this is a sign of growth and understanding the full responsibility. And I really would like Farrah and Rhys to note that. Something I'm going to note to you guys, though, is that in this episode, Rhys is also going to be tempted, not with the mask, but with Nesta's trove. And as we talked, Rhys and Nesta are mirrors to one another. They reflect one another's journeys, and Nesta's being tempted with the mask, and Rhys is going to be tempted with the Nesta trove.
Yeah, great point. As Jack alluded to earlier, Nesta has use to Rhys and can once again be a tool for the Night Court, not necessarily with her cauldron-made power, but with her courtier feminine power. Rhys commands Nesta to go with Cassian to tell Eris about the Autumn Court soldiers that are dead. And Nesta's like, why me? Quote, because you savor playing the game, Rhys said. He'd undoubtedly noticed how smoothly she dealt with Helian's attempts to flirt earlier. Rhys knew how to wield a tool at his disposal. Now, why doesn't Nesta fight back, right? Because she fought back when they wanted her to use her magic. Part of it is this is a tool in Nesta's arsenal she knows really well. Like, she knows how to use it like a pro. And I do think that in some way there is some flattery in the fact that Rhys sees Nesta as useful. In a way, it's an acknowledgement that, like, you've got something to offer. You're not a waste of space like we made you feel earlier in this book.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that is important in a time period when Nesta views herself as trash and as a waste of space and worthless. So for her to have usefulness in some ways is to have worth. And it's Rhys that's giving her that opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, if we remember, she was the human representative back in ACOWAR, right? And she did nothing. And honestly, the things that she was supposed to do didn't really pan out. And it was just really a title and name. Like, she did not do much to help, and she hasn't been given much of a use. And anytime she, in her mind, that she's been of use, like trying to scry or trying to find the cauldron and stuff, those are moments where she thinks that she has failed. So it is a moment where it's not her power. It's not the cauldron. Once again, this is a Nesta moment. This is Nesta's innate power. It has nothing to do with the cauldron. Yeah. I also love the contrast of what Rhys says, though. Like, he wants to wield her as a weapon, but he also like says, it's your choice. And is it ever?
When the group initially walked into the room, Nesta very quickly closed a book, and Cassian assumed it was a romance. We learn at the end of the scene that, in fact, it's about battle. It's about war. And Nesta tells Cassian when he asks, like, why are you reading that? Quote, what's the point in learning fighting techniques if I don't know their true purpose and uses? You'd train me into a weapon, and I'd be just that, someone else's weapon. I want to know how to wield it. Myself, I mean, and others. I think this is fascinating since she's not mad about Rhys using her as a weapon/tool right now. She understands she can be a weapon to be wielded. She also understands she's not ready to wield herself just yet. Yeah. And also, this is another thing that Cassian and Nesta can have in common, that they're learning, they're reading about battle, they're learning how to lead, etc.
Yeah. I also want to note her honesty. I mean, Cassian comes up and is like, so what are you reading? And she tells him that she's reading this book without any hesitation. She doesn't say, none of your business. Like, she just tells him what it's about. And I feel like Nesta of just a month ago would have been like, well, I don't want him to know or make fun of me because he's going to think that I actually want to do something and lead a unit. And that's so embarrassing. And yes, it's about Nesta's growth, but it also shows the growth of intimacy and how much she trusts him, because I guarantee she wouldn't have told Reese, Farah, or anyone else this info.
No, not at all. Because training, battle, those are safe places, and she's learning to respect those places and treat them with the same respect. Cassian reacts and is surprised that Nesta wants to lead her own unit, and Nesta explains, quote, I have nothing but time to plan far into the future because she's immortal. His chest tightened. Planning for the future. It was a hell of a good sign.
My Shayla. Both of them are my Shaylas.
It's Sheila.
No, but on the internet, we call it my Shayla because we're quoting someone. You're not on TikTok. You're not on TikTok.
I'm not.
It hasn't made it to Reels yet, nor will it ever.
Why is it my Shayla? Who are we quoting?
A person.
Are they Australian or are they American?
I don't think so. It's something that we all say. Let me find 1 second.
Yeah, please find it. Because if they're Australian, it's Sheila.
I know, but
my Shayla.
No, but that's what I'm quoting.
Oh my God, my Shayla.
My Shayla.
Congratulations.
My Shayla. My Shayla. I think that might have been her name.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's like, I'm not meant to say it in an Australian accent. It's my Shayla.
You said it earlier today when I was talking about Sheila in Australian accents. That's why I got confused.
And as you should.
Because I'm not on TikTok.
No, I mean, I'm not even entirely sure what's happening. I just know my Shayla. Oh, my Shayla.
So now that they've connected over war books, I really admire Cassian's excuse to visit Nesta's room because it's totally something I would do. So you were reading about war books, so I came conveniently at this late hour.
I started a war for you.
I'm going to bring you some more war books at this convenient hour. Don't mind that I'm wearing lingerie too. I could totally see Cassian in like
silk
a corset.
Boxers? Oh, silk box?
Yeah.
What?
You remember forever ago on TikTok, the really buff guy who wore corsets?
No.
It's hot. I will send it to you. I'll find him.
There's only so much when it comes to men that does it for you.
Yeah,
and I'm not here to judge. All right. There's so little that they do that pleases you.
It's so true.
That I'm not here to take that away.
Now I'm imagining Azriel in a corset. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Nesta asks Cassian why he hasn't come to her for more sex, and instead of letting Nesta willfully misunderstand him, because that would be easy, Cassian makes sure to get Nesta to understand very, very, very clearly what he wants.
I want to look at that specific quote, because she says, quote, before he reached the doorway, was it not good for you? It's so similar to when Cassian asks Nesta why she hadn't sought him out. And again, I think this is Nesta trying to emulate Cassian. He's the one who paved the emotional path for them, and she knows what to do because Cassian has already set that standard.
It's a great point. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Just like any time they have a sexual encounter, there is a baseline of emotions before they get into it. Cassian tells Nesta he doesn't want to demand anything from her because she's been so invested in training. And this is her response, quote, it's not a demand if both sides want it, she said. And I just worried you didn't enjoy it as much as I did. You think I hadn't sought you out because I didn't enjoy myself? This is a very honest conversation. Like, this is a hard type of thing to put yourself out there and to say like, hey, I feel like you don't want me. I feel like you haven't reached out to me and that makes me feel like you're not interested. And it's a very honest and scary emotional conversation, and they have it, and then they can fuck.
But it's easier for them to have this conversation than to be like, so we both know we're mates, right?
Right. Yeah. It's these kids.
Yeah.
These crazy kids.
They're so silly.
Yeah.
So things start to get freaky, and I do really enjoy this scene because Nesta demonstrates how she masturbates for Cassian, because they need to have a comparison, like, are your fingers better than my fingers?
I had to like text Amy because she was like sending me messages about the podcast, and I was like, hey, I love you, leave me alone for, like, 10
for 10 minutes.
For 10 minutes, you just like leave me alone.
Nesta commands Cassian, quote, while I touch myself, you are forbidden to touch me, a feral smile, and forbidden to touch yourself. Like I've suggested earlier, Nesta is in charge when it comes to physical intimacy and how it develops. She is the conductor who determines the tempo and the flow of the symphony, the orchestra, whatever metaphor you want to do.
Train conductor. I was like,
No!
choo-choo.
No.
She's like, choo-choo sex.
No.
Choo-choo. Hop on
No.
this sex train.
Cassian obeys like a good little soldier because he wants to be rewarded for his obedience. And quite frankly, he will take any scrap of intimacy Nesta's willing to give him.
Cassian tells Nesta what to do, and she's telling him what to do. And you would almost think it's this fight for dominance. If I were to tell you how the scene plays out without reading it, I'd be like, well, he tells her to touch herself, and then she says, well, you can't touch yourself. And then he says, like it would very much seem like they're going back and forth.
Yeah.
But it's not how it reads. Like, it's not disjointed. It feels like a joint power. It feels like there's that respect for one another. And I really commend SJM because I think it would be so easy to make it where one's dominant and the other isn't dominant. But like they both have a lot of give and take in their sexual relationship.
Yeah. And it's equal in a lot of, like they both give, they both take.
Yeah. They're both commanding. They're both
submitting.
Yeah. Willing to do whatever.
Yeah.
Bookmark this. We'll be right back.
Adobe Acrobat, your team's home base. Collaborate within a shared PDF space. You've got your docs, your plans, your specs, and then invite the crew to build what's next. They talk up the teamwork. Here's an updated render. They think that this design could be a contender. And when somebody wonders what's the next step, AI helps you finish the rest. Bolts are tight, now your plan's refined. Run a smoother business when you're all aligned. Do that with Acrobat. Learn more at adobe.com/do-that-with-Acrobat.
I am your host, Stassi Schroeder. Welcome to Tell Me Lies, the official podcast. What's the most unhinged thing of season 3?
Steven, because he's so evil.
I do think he is misunderstood.
You see everyone face consequences. It's intoxicating.
The writers just know how to trick you.
There's always a twist in this show. It's nothing you would expect.
Tell Me Lies, the official podcast, now streaming, and stream the new season of Tell Me Lies on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+.
Now, I didn't really catch this because I think it's subtle-ish, but is. But during sex, Cassian and Nesta mark each other, and it reminds me of other SJM works. It reminds me of any, quite frankly, Fae stories, Omegaverse stories, where marking each other is part of the claiming process with mates. And it's interesting that it's happening in this sex scene. And Cassian tries really hard to not make it a big deal, but it's kind of a big deal.
He's letting me bite her, or she's letting me bite her.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
God.
And mind you, it all comes from Cassian's point of view, not Nesta's. Quote, her fingernails dug into his shoulders, the pain of it secondary, the pain of it a pleasure as she marked him. Then later on, quote, he bit down on the center of her throat hard enough to leave a mark. The process is both, quote, paradise and torment for Cassian, just like everything else between them. Everything is pleasure accompanied with pain, but like the sweetest pain. It's like after a good workout, the next day you're like, oh, my legs are so sore, but it feels so good. That kind of pain. There is significance in this marking, even if Nesta isn't completely aware or understanding of it. They're just having sex, but in Cassian's mind, he's registering this as marking. And in a lot of ways, it doesn't change the dynamic, it enhances the dynamic. They had a very honest conversation before this scene. They have the sex, and now, quote, Nesta knelt before him nearly knee to knee. I still need more. Cassian's head lifted, eyes flashing. I know. She couldn't breathe under that stare, that beautiful face. How can I need you again so soon? It wasn't a coy courtier's question. It was voiced out of sheer desperation, because she did need more. They might not have fully accepted the mating bond yet. They haven't talked about it yet. But like between the marking and this conversation, like it's very clear that's what's going on.
Also, more can mean emotional more too, right?
Yeah.
Intimacy more.
Yeah.
Like I still need more. It could also very easily not just mean sex. Obviously, right now we're talking about sex, and she's like, I still be horny. And he goes, give me 1 literal second, babe. I can get hard immediately.
Yeah.
But you can also make a claim that this is the emotional war, right? This is not just sex. Just sex is not enough. She needs more. Also, SJM will never get away from the feet allegations. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, in her other book series, particularly Crescent City, sex and feet always kind of come back into each other. And there's a moment here when Cassian's eating her out and he puts her legs over his shoulder and he says that her feet tickle his wings and how...
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And it gets him excited. And he's like, I'm going to have to teach her wing play. And I'm like, you mean the feet that's touching your wings? SJM, we're never...
Jack would never.
I'm willing to do that. Well, yeah, I'm willing to let my feet tickle his wings.
Not the other way around, though.
What, his wings tickle my feet?
No, if you had wings, his feet could not touch them.
Not in the slightest bit do I want your feet anywhere near me. Let's take a sip. So we go into chapter 42. It's the next day. Cassian is dragged out of bed by Rhys, and he goes down to the river house, and Azriel's there, Rhys is there, Amren's there, and they're all there to discuss the blades, like long sword, short sword, and the dagger that the blacksmith brought over, because those are the ones that Nesta made. And he was saying that they're bad, they're cursed. And that's when they all realized that Nesta made them. She basically made her own trove. And Amren decides that Nesta cannot know about this ability, quote, which is why Nesta must never learn about it, Amren said. Cassian demanded, what? Amren's gray eyes held steady. She cannot know. It's fascinating how similar this is to everyone keeping Farah's secret with the baby and everything. And no one gets to have a choice in this world, apparently.
Yeah, and it makes sense why this is the thing that sets Nesta off to tell Farah about the pregnancy. Because there is so much similarity here.
It's a violation. When we get back to that point, is like, should she have done it in that method? No, but does she understand that, like, holy shit, people are lying and holding things from you, and Farah does deserve to know? Yes, but does she do it for the right reasons? No. But you know what? There's a fucking bitch in the midst of this.
Yeah, and you know who that bitch is? It's Amren. And I have never disliked Amren more than in this chapter. She, and I'm going to say it, is a cunt. She's the one who causes the problem. So if you are a believer that Rhys is evil in Silver Flames, let me suggest you look at the source of his evilness and his bad attitude, because it doesn't originate with Rhys. During the conversation about whether to tell Nesta what she's created, Amren says what Jack read earlier, but also, quote, what if in one of her moods, Nesta creates what she pleases just to spite us? If anyone is casting doubt upon Nesta and her character and believes Nesta to be capable of shit, it is Amren. Amren is the one accusing Nesta of being spiteful. Amren is the one accusing Nesta of turning on them. Now, Cassian's like, I can't lie to Nesta. Don't make me keep the secret from her. And Rhys says, quote, Amren's order holds, Rhys said. And for a heartbeat, Cassian hated him, hated the mistrust and wariness he beheld on Rhys's face. Put there by Amren.
Yeah.
Rhys was not mistrustful or wary until Amren made her unfounded accusations.
The way that Amren reacts, you would think Nesta had, I don't know, said the most egregious, horrible thing about Amren. And from what I remember, it is basically like, you're choosing Farah, you just go ahead and you fit in line with everyone else, you just do what you're told type thing, which I'm not saying is nice, but to then go around and say, well, we can't even trust her. She might change her whole attitude and make one just to spite us. Like, and Cassian says, do you know her better than that? Do you really think she would do that? And to put that kind of doubt out there to accuse Nesta of that is so fucking shitty.
Yeah, I mean, Nesta is a bitch, right? Yeah. But when has she ever truly turned against the inner circle? Like, done something of true betrayal?
She lashes out and she hurts herself.
Right.
That's what she does.
She says mean things. Okay. Yeah. But that's not action.
No. And Amren was the one at the beginning of this book who was the first to shame Nesta around sex, right? There are these little tiny comments that Amren was the one who made, and it's bullshit. But what's continues to be bullshit is that she keeps bringing it up, and now she's bringing Cassian into it. Quote, I'd be careful when you're fucking her, Amren added, lip curling in a sneer. Who knows what she might transform you into when her emotions are high. Wow. I really am not okay with this. Like, I think that this was one of the shittiest things that someone could say. I think that to bring in sex like that and to shame Cassian for his relationship with Nesta, to, you know, even though the terms when you're fucking her, it's crude, it's crass, and I am someone who loves crass, but it's just not okay. And, you know, I'm happy Azriel's the one who's like, hey, no, let's rein this in. This is the moment. For me, Amren's lost me.
I can't remember if I say this later in my notes. Where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Is it because for the first time, Amren is not powerful and Nesta has so much power, she can make powerful objects. She can imbue power in objects.
Yeah.
So just something to think about.
I think there's a lot of Amren's own issues that she is now just a normal fae with barely anything to her. And Nesta gets to have this power. And I'm sure there's a level of like, you get to have this power and you're not even using it or something. So I agree. I do not remember liking Amren again after this. We're going to have to see if I ever do. So Amren talks about the weapons and how everyone is going to remember these weapons in history. But it remains to be seen whether these weapons are going to be known for good or evil. Quote, Cassian shook off the shiver that slithered down his spine, as if fate itself heard her words and shuddered. He threw her a grin. You do love being dramatic, don't you? I want to say this is only one page after her insult to him. And it just makes me remember and want to say to everyone that we cannot trust when Cassian smiles. Cassian covers his own true emotions many, many times. He's clearly nervous about what she says here, and so he just grins and makes a joke. And I also think that he's moved on too quickly from that comment that she made. But I think he feels like he has to, and he has to kind of grin and bear it.
Right. It's his way of deflecting. You know, Nesta deflects in her own way. Not by smiling. He does with smiling.
Yeah.
But I agree. He's been overridden. Rhys says what Amren says goes. So what is he going to do? He's not number 3. Moore's number 3.
Yeah. And then when Amren leaves, she tells the boys, like, boys, don't touch the sword. And then, of course, the boys are going to be boys. And then they touch the sword. But before they touch the sword, because they only get to touch the sword because Rhys is sad. And Rhys is sad because he has this really intense breakdown. And he opens up about being terrified about Farah and not being able to find a solution, and explains why he hasn't told Farah. Quote, I can't bring myself to give her that fear, to take away one bit of the joy in her eyes every time she puts a hand on her belly. His voice shook. It is fucking eating me alive, this terror. I keep myself busy, but there is no one to bargain with for her life, no amount of wealth to buy it, nothing that I can do to save her. It's heartbreaking. And this is where we're going to reference the Call Her Daddy interview. And again, I'm happy that we were being sympathetic earlier to him, because the way SJM describes it is, this is the first time Rhys is a husband. This is the first time Rhys is going to be a father. This is the first time Rhys is experiencing these things. Yes, he's 500 years old, but this is all new to him too. And it is unfair that he was the one who got this information. He did not ask to be the one to get this knowledge. He was given this knowledge.
Right.
And he did not go to Maja and say, tell me things that I don't want her to know. This is just kind of how it ended up. And now what is he going to do with this knowledge? Like, fucking Maja, who was like, hey, let me tell you this horrible bit of information, and I'm going to leave you to tell your wife about it. Not me, the medical professional who doesn't even know how to perform a C-section. But I can put guts back together. So it is just sad and heartbreaking. And I think that it's totally okay to say that this is unacceptable, that it's not right, and that he does wrong, and still have empathy for him.
When Rhys goes to remove the sword from the scabbard, quote, it did not go easily, as if the sword did not wish to be revealed, or not by Rhysand. Which feels appropriate since this sword has been imbued with power from Nesta and her feelings and her frustrations. So of course she doesn't want it to be revealed by Rhysand because she doesn't like him. She doesn't want him to use her as a tool. Now, once again, I'm going to reiterate, I think Amren's the problem. She's the one who talks about the Archeron sisters like they are weapons to be wielded, because she's encouraging Rhys to be High King. He doesn't want to be, but he has this new trove. And by the way, you have 3 Archeron sisters, quote, all 3 sisters blessed by fate and gifted with powers to match your own. Feyre alone doubles your strength. Nesta makes you unstoppable, especially if she were to march into battle wearing the mask. No enemy could stand against her. Like, excuse me, you've never sounded more power hungry.
Yeah, fuck you, Amryn. Are you even Amryn? Have you been possessed?
Right. She comes across as so insecure. I mean, obviously, in some ways, Jack, you can say your point.
My point is like, and this, kids, is called setup for the next book, for future books. And we're just going to leave this like open-ended concept of a high king, and then we're going to leave it alone.
Right. But the only person in the room who wants it is Amryn.
Yeah. A little bit of Cassian. Cassian's like, I'm not against it, but Amryn wants it.
Yeah, Amryn wants it. And she decides that Feyre would do it too. She's like, Amryn, shut the fuck up.
But she decides it because she brings in the baby, which is fucked also. Feyre would do it to protect the baby. Like, all of a sudden it's like, whoa, what are we doing? Don't bring in the baby into this.
Right. It's judging his ability to be a parent.
Yeah.
When he's already struggling with his ability to be a parent because the baby might die. Another thing that rubs me the wrong way when it comes to Amryn in this scene is how she talks about the cauldron. Actually, I don't like the way anybody talks about the cauldron in this book. When saying Rhys should take advantage of his possession of the new trove. Quote, the cauldron's benevolence will be extended to you only for so long before it is offered to another. Which confuses the shit out of me because A, the cauldron is neither good nor bad. Therefore, it cannot be benevolent nor malicious. Also, you've all met the damn thing. It's a sentient weirdo. Like, it doesn't really give a shit.
No.
It was sexually into Elaine. Like, that's all we know. And then it was pissed at Nesta. Okay, guys? Like, that's all we've got.
Like, I don't even know how the cauldron could be into someone, but it was.
But it was. So, like, I choose to believe the benevolence is the mother's benevolence that's being misattributed to the cauldron.
I agree.
And the cauldron, in a lot of ways, is like a false god / idol, because at the end of the day, the mother created the cauldron. And it's weird how they idolize the cauldron that was an asshole that was used by Hybern.
They do. They do.
So that's all I have to say.
And it's like it's even that hard to break. And then it was pretty easy to put back together. Like, I've had plates that are more difficult. So I'm just saying, get some better Tupperware.
Never mind that Rhys had to die in the process.
Yeah, he came back to life. It's fine.
All right, Jack.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Oh my God, really? Thank you.
Just how much more harshly is Nesta judged compared to her sisters? Why was that our question?
Because people online. That's why.
We've just started posting stuff.
So basically, there was a video we posted from episode 1 saying, like, this is a different kind of FMC. She is judged way more harshly. And there were a couple people, one on TikTok, I don't think they were a listener, but they were just like, I disagree. And I was like, yeah, fair enough. But like, also, here are the times that she's, viewed more harshly, and you shouldn't, just because Nesta says that Feyre was treated harshly doesn't mean like she's an unreliable narrator. And then the person wrote back, that's a cop out for just because they're breaking headcanon. And I was like, well, I can't, I'm not even going to engage.
Just the fact that headcanon is used, headcanon is a fucking cop out. It's your own fucking imagination.
Yeah.
It's not what's on the page.
The only reliable narrator in any book I can possibly think of is the dictionary.
It's fair.
Yeah, like, there's not a single thing, news, religion, like, none of it is ever reliable. Okay, and now I'm going to take this one listener, and I apologize because I haven't responded to you, and you didn't ask for this, but this is public.
Is it a post on our post? A comment on our post?
Yeah, they commented on our post. They wrote, I don't think she is more judged. She is just different, I think it's important to have different types of FMCs in books. And I think it's hard to relate to Nesta sometimes because she is different. I had to really have to reckoning with Nesta because it was hard to see my depression and anger thrown back at me in a character. Super important to have different types of FMCs. Is she my fave? No. Do I still approve of her? 100%. Or appreciate her? Yes. So she is different. she is absolutely different than anyone else, but I think where it kind of came down to is, here's an example. Nesta and Farah, and in these chapters, we can see them both having secrets being withheld from them.
Mm-hmm.
The secrets that's being withheld from Farah has to do with the baby and not wanting to hurt her feelings.
Or make her scared.
Make her scared. Yeah, exactly. The secrets that are being withheld from Nesta are because of what they believe she'll do, because of them judging her.
How will she use the information against us?
Yeah.
That's not the conversation that's being had about Farah.
And someone might be like, apples and oranges, but like, when was that ever done before, prior? You know what I mean? Like, has anyone ever withheld secrets from Farah because of judgments on her? That she would
turn on them.
Yeah, and it's not even judgments of like, well, we don't want to hurt her feelings. It's harsh judgments, right? It's not, we don't want to tell Nesta because this will be overwhelming. It's like, well, we don't trust her. That's a harsh judgment.
Yeah.
If it was something similar, it'd be like, we don't want to tell Farah, we don't, blah, blah, blah.
We don't trust her to not end her life, or
like tell Tamlin or like hurt herself. But it never came down to, we are judging your character. And I think that the reason why this works for this episode, and it's not me belaboring a point, the reason why I think it works is because you have Nesta, who has made some very clear strides. You do not have to be an active participant in viewing Nesta. You don't have to be Cassian, who sees her every day, or Azriel, who sees her often, to know that she is making strides. The fact alone that, one, she is still showing up every single day. You do not have Clotho complaining about Nesta at all. No one's gone and made a remark about her being shit. The fact that she's gotten priestesses who have not left under this mountain for hundreds of years, some of them, and she's able to get them out
and training.
These are objective facts that you don't need to know the insides, the inner workings, to know what she's doing on the daily, to know that these things are true. Yeah. And yet none of that is being held to her benefit and giving her credit, and they're still judging her and say, we can't trust her. Like, what does she have to do? She's doing everything. She's doing the things they want her to do and more.
And also, let's not forget, she literally said, I do not want to know how to undo these wards because I do not want to be held responsible for accessing it, essentially.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a person who would use the mask out of spite against you. Same with the swords. Like,
yeah.
Does she recognize for herself that it's a temptation? Yes. She has not articulated that.
Yeah.
What has been articulated is she fears a worst case scenario where she is made to use it or give information to somebody whom they cannot be trusted. Like, that in and of itself should build trust. Mind you, Amryn wasn't there. She probably heard about it, but Amryn's never at the Court of Nightmares when Nesta's there.
Yeah. It makes me understand, like, here we are midway through the book and Nesta has made huge strides. Willingly on her own. She on her own has made progress that was not asked of her, that was not required, and has inspired other women in this world, right? For them to then decide that she's still not trustworthy, I would also be like, well, then what's enough? What is it? Like, what do I need to do to prove to you? Because I have done all the things you have asked for. I have done more than that. And it's still not enough for you to trust me on what I am capable of doing and how I could be a danger to myself and to the people I love.
Yeah.
That is judgment. And that is how you can be judged more harshly. And that is why I think that her reaction is so justified. I mean, I'm not justifying her telling Farah, like, that's not okay. But like, her own rage is justified because midway through and she's killing it.
Yeah.
And you don't need to be in her daily to know that she is. So that's my response. I hope you guys enjoy this 6 weeks later after you posted it. Sorry, listener. Thanks for listening to Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy. Join us Wednesday for our Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks discussion from today's chapters from Sarah J. Maas's A Court of Silver Flames.
If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps other readers find us. And of course, we'd love to hear what you thought of today's episode. Share your comments through our forum at booktalkforbooktalk.com, and we might feature your feedback in a future mini episode or a Patreon exclusive episode.
For merch and more ways to support the show, head to booktalkforbooktalk.com. You can also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at the handle booktalkforbooktalk. And don't forget to join us as we keep the analysis going by subscribing to our Substack to get more insights into the romantasy and romance genres. Head to the subtextsocietyjournal.substack.com. Bye.
Bye.
Struggling to find the right metabolic wellness support, even when you're doing everything right, has been one of the most frustrating things for me in my health journey.
I've tried other metabolic wellness support providers, and I often feel rejected rather than supported by the process.
That's because Brello is focused on long-term health, longevity, and performance, not quick fixes.
Brello is designed for people who want a more sustainable approach to their metabolic wellness support. Their support helps you focus on habits, education, and structure alongside provider oversight.
Getting my GLP-1 through Brello has been so easy. They make it so effortless, and they provide all the support I need through their app.
Their app is one of a kind in my book because it allows you to track progress, manage reminders, and stay on top of renewals. And if you're like me, managing the renewals is the hardest part.
Everything is managed online, making it easier to stay consistent over time, and medications are delivered to your door. They're so transparent with their pricing with one flat monthly cost. Go to BrelloHealth.com to see if you qualify and explore their GLP-1 plans, starting at $133 per month for your first 3 months, plus access to their app, community, and wellness classes. That's BRELLO health.com.
Any information provided is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical consultation, diagnosis, or treatment. All patients must consult with a healthcare provider prior to the prescription or dispensing of any medication, which will be done only pursuant to a valid prescription. Compounded drug products are not FDA approved, and the FDA does not evaluate their safety, effectiveness, or quality. Patients are encouraged to discuss the risks, benefits, and appropriateness of any medications, including compounded products, with their healthcare provider before use.
Have no fear, Chosen Foods is here to defend your favorite foods from the forces of seedy oils and sketchy ingredients. With cooking oils, salad dressings, and mayo, all powered by the good fats from 100% pure avocado oil and simple, delicious ingredients. Chosen Foods.